Hey guys, Praveen here. We will be starting our presentation, which is Careers on AI and Machine Learning by CloudxLab, shortly. Uh, just waiting for a few more people to get online, and then let's get started. Okay, let's get started. Hi, this is Praveen, and I'm going to give you a talk today on Introduction to Careers in AI and Machine Learning. So that's me, and I'm below here. So we'll first go through the agenda of how we are going to go through today. Okay, so first we'll talk a little bit about CloudX Lab. We'll talk about the authors and instructors for this particular presentation. We will talk about a relationship with IIT Roorkee. There's going to be a short talk on what is ML, that's what's machine learning, what is AI, what is AI and ML, what is AI and ML. I presume you can hear me fine. Okay, this is continuing. So we will have a discussion on what is the difference between AI and ML. What are the different? What's really different in the ML approach? What are the career paths and job starts? We will talk about the different courses offered by CloudX Lab. In the end, we'll end up with FAQs. In case you have, so now what? How are we going to do this? We will be starting this presentation shortly. This will be a 2-hour talk with a 10-minute break. It's around 9 o'clock. Everybody except me, that's the instructor, is on mute. Any questions? Just please YouTube comments to ask questions. Please fill in all the requirements. Please fill in the forms that we have sent so that we can send you the PowerPoint presentations and the videos out later. Both the recordings and the slides will be shared after the session. For more details, you could always go to cloudxlab.com for more details. Okay, thank you. Okay, now what is CloudX Lab? Okay, so the vision of CloudX Lab is to upskill engineers and IT professionals in deep tech, deep learning, machine learning, and big data technologies. We want to make them employable and future ready. In short, CloudX Lab aims to help people build their careers and employ and improve their. So it's got a great hands-on environment where the system continuously evaluates the code and nudges the user by giving appropriate feedback. So you see, we have a playground here where you could type in detail. We could type in your code and just execute it. There is the second section which has content which tells you what you're supposed to do. It may have slides, it may have videos, it may have instructions, and you can submit your answers and check if you've done it correctly or not. It also gives you hints and answers in different places. Okay, so how we'll be doing this, please, so in case you have questions, keep throwing your questions. I'll be regularly taking breaks to talk about what is on. Okay. So some of the questions we have is, what is the comprehensive course in CloudX Lab? We will answer this. We'll talk about all our courses, etc. Okay. Thank you. Okay, so this is, as I mentioned, this is the playground with feedback. This is what makes CloudX Lab unique. Very few people will give you this, and the automated assessment that happens along with this. Okay, now this is another example how CloudX Lab looks like. Okay, so you can see you have an environment where Python is running automatically. So what CloudX Lab gives you, it gives you pre-installed tools and software for practicing AI, machine learning, deep learning, data sciences, big data, and all related technologies. So you don't have to spend time in installing these particular applications. You just can come on and get started immediately, quickly. CloudX Lab, a little bit about CloudX Lab. So what we yearn to do is we intend to give you a real world experience. So the lab setup is exactly the same as of a setup in an enterprise. So you basically come to a job ready setup. In an enterprise, you're given an environment where you can get started quickly. So we try to incorporate a similar setup in a CloudX Lab. Again, I said it's a seamless experience. You don't have to go around downloading or do any installations. There are no hardware, no permission or configuration issues. We kind of take care of it, and you automatically have a playground to play with. We got our own data set where we provide our own open source data sets on the labs. Alternately, if you want to get your own data sets, you're free to put them on and experiment. There's no problem. We are, as we said, we are device independent, so you can so it's the whole thing operates on a browser, so you can operate from any browser, from any system. You can just log in and check it out anytime you want. So I Okay, so the next nice thing about CloudxLab is the social interaction. It's so when you're at CloudxLab, you actually interact with your peers. You can see how many people have done these courses, are doing courses along with you. There's a leaderboard. There's a chat, so you could chat with. There's a chat with which you can chat. You can ask questions, and you can even answer them. So that's very nice. So in case you could go through questions, and there are questions which you know the answers to, you can solve your fellow students' questions, your peers' questions. CloudxLab also has hiring partners, so we got a dedicated job portal. So in case, so we try to give you assistance on different matters, on different. So in case you're looking for a job, you can come onto our dashboard and look for a job. There we have multiple jobs currently open. We constantly are working with our partners to keep getting more and more job applications on our platform. So take a look at that. Okay, about the instructors and authors for today. So Sandeep is the founder of CloudxLab. He's got a lot of experience. He's been teaching at Cloud. He founded CloudxLab and has been teaching ever since, for almost now since 2014. He's got an experience. He's worked at InMobi before, at Amazon, D. Shaw. He's run a startup before CloudxLab. Abhinav Singh is the other guy who's contributed to this presentation. He's also co-founder at CloudxLab. He's worked with Byju's, with HashCube, and he's got several years of experience in edtech and game development. So I'm the guy in the middle. I'm Praveen Pavitran. So my background starts with I've got a degrees in electrical engineering from IIT Bombay, specialized in microelectronics. So I've worked internationally in Europe and in India. Currently, I'm the CTO and co-founder of Yatis, where we do IoT and video analytics. So I've also contributed to the course in AI and video analytics components of these classes. Okay, so another important thing we have is the relationship with IIT Roorkee. So Sandeep is alumni of IIT Roorkee. We have, and as through that we have a relationship with IIT Roorkee. So IIT Roorkee is the oldest technical institution in Asia, and we have partnered with IIT Roorkee, where we provide a platform for launching executive courses, try to reaching out to global audience and help more people improve and build their careers. Okay, I'm just going to take a few questions. So there's been a lot of questions whether the certificate for this particular lecture. No, this lecture is a discussion on careers in AI. There's no certificate for just attending this particular lecture. Then there are. So yes, so we have our support engineers currently answering your questions on comments. Somebody asked, Pratish Banerjee asked, is this CloudxLab, is this the most comprehensive course? Well, it's the most comprehensive course on deep sciences. I'll come again later. I'll show you all about our courses. Sohail Javed has asked, his question is, can we apply machine learning and data sciences Android apps? Yes, it's possible. There are lighter models which you can apply on Android labs. You can look up TF Lite, TensorFloat Lite. Okay, I'm just going to continue with this with my presentation. Okay, what is machine learning? So Arthur Samuel is one of the pioneers of machine learning. He called it's a field of study that gives the computers the ability to learn without being explicitly programmed. What does that mean? So typically, if I presume a lot of you have an experience with coding, so when you write a program with a certain objective. and machine learning was enabling a computer to do things beyond what its original purpose was. A little more flexible method. We will see this what it means with a real world example. Okay, now let the example is going to be a fun example. I presume you've played Mario. So Mario was this game introduced by Nintendo back in the 1990s. So the aim of Mario, so Mario is this Italian plumber who is in this mushroom kingdom, and his aim is to rescue princess whose name was Princess Peach, and the aim is to rescue her, and he's constantly being attacked by these mutant turtles or tortoises, and he's got opportunities to take points as he does that. So how much time, so I presume you've played it, and have you played it, and did you, I presume you won the princess also. So now question is, can you train a computer to play this game? Okay, so normally humans play. Can a computer play and learn this game? Okay, so it is possible to do it. How it happens is the program learns to play in Mario. It observes the game, so it sees what it's doing, and it randomly presses keys. This is actually being done. It randomly presses keys. It presses the keys and checks what's the outcome. If the outcome is good, then it's good. If it's not, so the aim is finally to maximize the score. You maximize the score by getting coins, by not getting killed, and by finally clearing stages. That's how you do it. So the rule is, does random things, checks if my score is increasing or not. Now, now we will actually see a demonstration of this happening. Okay, now this is starting. Playing Mario. So on day one, what happens is you're watching Mario randomly pressing keys. It's randomly pressing keys and really not doing anything. He just keeps doing this and just times out and dies. On day two, it's getting a little better. It's playing like my daughter, and he's getting a little faster, and he's able to do something. You can notice he's going up. He's managed to avoid a couple of turtles. He's able to go a couple of hurdles, but he gets stuck at some places. He's just not there yet. Give him a few weeks and he's getting better at it now. Okay, now he's going at it. Yep, he's getting fast. He knows how to get points. He knows how to go for it. Sometimes hesitating, but yes, he the turtles, gets points, and just watch him. He's doing better from where he was. He's getting really, really better. Right. So as you see, it's going little. He's learned it. Couple of weeks in the game, the guy's able to win. He's doing it. Give it a few more weeks, and Mario's getting expert now. It's finding things that you don't know about yet. So you're gonna see Mario identifying a real obscure bug. Okay. So come here. What happens? Hey, what happened there? So if you notice, what happened there is that Mario actually managed to avoid the turtle. It took a little down step and managed to really avoid the turtle. This is something that's not obvious. It's and obviously looks like a bug in the code that caused it, and which our program identified. Okay, now we'll have an example of Mario exploiting another bug. Oh, so you noticed Mario didn't die there. He should have fallen into the ditch. He didn't do that. So this is another sign of intelligence. So these are similar items which Mario is now capable of. Now this is how it was automated. So now Mario has now learned to play the game. He can learn to play Mario, and you can. This is a generic method of doing it, and you can use the same method, way to apply on other programs. So you could play Tetris or Pac-Man with the same thing and without fundamentally changing the program. The rules are the same. The computer will randomly press keys, see what happens, and maximize the score, and this will just keep it running. Okay, now I'll just take some more lectures. So Surya Pratap has asked, can this course be comprehensive enough for someone with no coding background? Surya Pratap, we have other courses maybe that people with no background can get started. So there are other which I'll show you about later. Pritish Banerjee is asking, can I extend the lab after 330 days after the course? You can just reach out to the people. We can take a look at it. Okay, now we'll come to the next section. The next section is what is AI? What is artificial intelligence? So the term artificial intelligence was coined by another pioneer, John McCarthy, in 1950. Basic work of machine learning and AI starts back in the 1950s, before we really had good computers. The philosophies of it were already expounded on. So John McCarthy, in 1956, along with his colleagues, termed the term artificial intelligence. They were at Dartmouth College at New Hampshire. And so what he did further, he said to expound on the meaning of AI, he defined a couple of sub-objectives. What should intelligent machines have? Okay. So these were the sub-objectives, define what they defined as the sub-objectives of AI. So said AI should be able to represent knowledge. It should show perception, show the capability to reason, navigate, and have natural language processing. Okay, and these were the sub objectives as they defined it then. Now, AI is an end objective, and so this is another way of putting it. So the way you have in AI, you have one end is the part that connects you to the external world, the hardware part, where you have robos, you have IoTs, you have robos there, or the robos. They can, besides collecting information, they can even act on that information. On the other side, you have software. So in software, there are multiple types of software. There's a rule-based programming, which is a simpler one where you just say that A plus B is equal to C, and it just keeps doing that properly. And there are other sections called machine learning where you have the higher intelligence, where a computer is capable of doing little more than or more than what's programmed for. And one section of it, of machine learning, is called deep learning, which is a specialized form of machine learning to take it. Okay, now where is machine learning coming from, and why is it being used today? So the fundamentally, we as people, we've been trying to predict things. Now this urge to predict things is really old. The ancient humans, they stared at the stars in the sky and they tried to discover patterns, and yes, they succeeded to some patterns. From the stars, they could figure out what seasons were. Using the information from seasons, they were able to figure out when herds would move, so they could plan hunting. They could do basic farming from early on. If you figured out when your monsoons were, when the winters were, they knew when to farm and when not to farm. So the people who started figuring out these patterns started doing better. It's a just form of evolution. Today, we look at stars, we understand a lot of things more about it. Uh, so even the manufacturing industry is trying to predict. It's trying to predict what products to manufacture, what processes to optimize, what should it price a particular product. It's trying to figure out which machine is likely to go kaput in the short term, what kind of predictive maintenances it needs to schedule, and more. So the aim of the industry right now is trying to use all the data available to maximize outcome, like maximizing revenue, reducing cost, improving bottom lines. The agriculture industry is again trying to do the same. It's trying to predict what crops to grow, what will the prices of produce, and what process to follow. Healthcare industry, well, we all know about it right now. It's trying to figure out diseases from symptoms. There are programs that look at X-rays and try to figure out if you got uh, COVID or pneumonia or tuberculosis. It tries to figure which drugs are effective. It tries to figure out how to stop pandemics. It's trying to figure out what's best operating procedure. So if you've been reading the news and the reading news about articles like on favipiravir and remdesivir, you'll realize there's a lot of statistics that's going on, a lot of trying to understand if the medicine is really effective against COVID. Okay, so every industry is trying to predict. That is what it's trying to do. Trying to use all the data we have and trying to predict outcomes to maximize our industry. So I'll take a few more questions. Okay, for the basic qualifications criteria, well, for CloudxLab, There are some courses that don't have any qualification criteria. We don't have a qualification criteria, so there's an examination that you give. You give that, you can, and if you pass it, you have sufficient scores, you will be given a chance to be admitted for the IITR course if that's a specific question. Otherwise, at CloudxLab, for any course, we don't have any qualification requirements. We enable people from with very little coding background to get started and get to wherever you want. Yeah, there are some discussions on what's available. We'll have a discussion on that. Okay, Ashwin Ravi has a discussion in self-driving technology. We kind of cover a lot of this. Surya Pratap has a question: data science specialization, EICT, IIT Roorkee, will it help? I will come to some. I have some slides for early ons. Okay, and some discussions on. I will answer all these questions. As most of these questions are answered later in the presentation, so I'll just continue. Okay, what has changed now? So from the time when people used to just sit on grasslands and stare at the skies, try to figure out patterns in stars. Now we use computers and ML to predict. We don't just use comments. Now I'm going to give an example about email and spam filters to further drive down how ML is changing the way we operate. Okay, so when you have email, you have two types of email for this particular case. One's called spam, the messages which are spam, all of us know. And whatever is not spam is called ham. That's supposed to go to the inbox. The spam goes to spam messages for and which you can ignore safely. Now, how do you write a spam filter? I wouldn't say how would you write, but how we wrote a spam filter. So spam filter using traditional approach. Okay, so how did we do the traditional approach? So the traditional approach looks something like this. Okay, the step one is to study the problem. Then you write rules, you evaluate. If there are any errors, you go back, study the problem again, and then when you're happy with the results, you launch. That's how it does. Now let's look what it happens. Now we are trying to detect spam. Now a traditional way is a rules-based methodology. The rules-based methodology, there are rules. You've explicitly written down, as we said, the program has some explicit instructions. So you could tell the program, look for the word credit card, look for the word free, look for the word amazing. If you got these words in either the subject or email body, send it as spam. This is an example of rule-based spam filters. It works. Other rules. You could say we have look at the sender's email address. So the sender's email address has come from a particular set of addresses which you know to be spammy. You could block it. Okay, so you could just block it. You could say so. These are just some examples. We could do that, and we could stop it. Okay. Now you take study the problem and you write rules. So you've written down rules. You've written rules like based upon the content, based upon the headers, based upon the subject, and so how this is work? Incoming mails come in. There are multiple rules. You could have n rules, and each email is checked against these rules. If the rules fail, it goes to spam. If none of the rules are broken, it goes to ham. Seems nice, seems simple, seems okay. But why does it not? And then, yeah, you evaluate it and go get started. Now, what are the problems with traditional approach? This seems to be right. What's wrong? Okay, what goes wrong? What happens is the number of rules just keep increasing, just keeps growing bigger and bigger. And so the engineers were tasked with just keep looking at the incoming emails and and then building out new rules that catch these problems. Just keeps increasing, just becomes overwhelming for people to do it. An example of why does it happen. So suppose you've written a spam filter that says that if the word amazing exists, put it spam. Now the spam writers or spammers are getting more smarter. They could figure out, okay, the guys are searching for amazing, I'll add the word fantastic. So you kind of set off an arms race between spam filters and spammers, where the spammers are continuously studying spam filters and trying to figure out ways of undermining them, of getting around them. Okay, so now before I get to the mill approach again, I will take a few more questions. Okay, Dipesh Gupta has asked, I'm a doctorate in the field of cancer biologist and I want to explore AI in healthcare jobs in India. I have uh, it's a question about jobs. So yes, so there are a lot of applications of AI in healthcare. So Dipesh, this is a good, and since you already have an experience in Python and ML, you can definitely work on it harder. There are companies that specialize in that, from biotech companies, etc. Uh, Dipesh Bhatnagar, as I had learnt all the libraries in Python for data science, is not clear what he wants. Okay. The punch. Okay. Dipansh, if you are already a member of our courses, then you can send a question, this particular question you have, or the particular problem you're having, on our support groups. We would answer them there. Deepak has asked, do we need to be well versed with statistics concepts before we go ahead with learning in AI? Deepak, so you need to know a bit about statistics and mathematics, but you really don't need to be expert. You'll be surprised of. I think a lot of people have an expectation that you need to know an atrocious amount of mathematics to get into ML. That's not true. We will touch base about it today. Senthil Natarajan asks, I'm a tech writer after this course. I want to give training to corporates. How are the opportunities? Senthil, there are lots of people looking for to uh, do courses on AI, etc. So if you have an experience in training, yes, you can learn about it and give trainings at corporates. If you recently, I read an article that said that among the top four courses, ML, Python, ML and Python were like among the first two of them. I think one of them was DevOps. So there are lots of opportunities in training for corporates. Parvinder Singh asked, what are the prerequisites to learn AI and ML? Typically, just if you, we would say that you should at least know a programming language, Python preferably, and you can get started. Okay, there's some more questions about how to start machine learning as a fresher, and those I'll come again. We've got special courses. You can start as a fresher with and become an expert in ML with CloudxLab. I'll talk more about it. Okay, so we were so just a filter. We discussed how a rules-based mechanism work for spam filters and how people can beat it and how it's not sufficient. Now, how does spam filter work using the ML approach? And the ML approach, what you have is you have data. You have data. You look at data based upon. So in case you have used data, you regularly mark an email that comes from you. You can mark it as spam. Now there are algorithms that are studying what people are marking as spam, and the ML algorithms are being trained on that. And so you're not no longer looking at the content of each email, but you're looking at you're sending the content to an ML algorithm that's trying to figure out patterns upon why it's spam and why it's ham. Okay, so every industry. So now, which approach do you think is better? The traditional approach, or the ML approach? Which do you think is sustainable? Which you think is actually cheaper in the long run? Which one do you think is more effective? Please let me know. I'll be looking forward to your answers. And that's right. Typically, it is the ML-based algorithms are faster, they are better, they are cheaper. It can use all the data that people come from. They just keep getting better. So, in summarizing, every industry it's trying to predict, it's trying to use information, all the available information it has. Uh, Humans have been doing that forever. we look at it, we try to figure out, we try to come up with some models. Today we teach you computers to build models and predict. So we've not so that is machine learning. So machine learning, that's one of the reasons why machine learning is revolutionizing a lot of different industries at the same time. Okay, now we'll have a few presentations on the stats and the paths for machine learning. So what's a typical workflow in machine learning? So where machine learning starts with data. So the first path is to collect data from multiple sources. Now there are the data can be coming from NoSQL databases. It would be coming from different databases, and the first path, or from streaming services like Kafka or MQTT. The next process is data cleaning, which is also called ETL. If anybody, let me know if you know the full form of ETL. Uh, be nice to know if you know. So ETL stands for extract, transform, and loading, which is, so you get data, you're going to extract what's valuable, make some transformations on that, and load it into for the next state. There are special software for that. Spark is used, MapReduce, Informatica. These examples of software being used there. Then next step you do is you do some basic analysis. Just try to see some patterns in it. There are special tools for that. The big data tools like Hive, Spark SQL are great tools to do that. Uh, the next question is, can I, using ML algorithms, you try to find patterns for that? So like there are patterns for that: Spark, MLib, graphics, scikit, etc. Then this goes to the next start, where you start using TensorFlow and linear regressions and all these algorithms you know about to further optimize these algorithms. That you use all the data you've got to and optimize algorithms, create special models for what you're using. And in the end, what we need is we need to finally use it. We use it where you could be building a server application where you would have REST APIs giving you the results. There was a question which somebody asked whether you can use an Android app. You could build an Android app. You could build an iOS app. If you're using tools like TensorFlow JS, you can use that on your browser also. You don't have to even need a full computer to do that. You can even do it in your browser. In the end, in case you're trying to scale or provide the machine learning programs at scale, you would go into the DevOps component of it, where you figure out how to launch these programs on a cloud-based server and how to say scale. Okay, I'll take some more questions. Okay. So Garima Yadav asks, if I only Java, C, C++, can I learn ML and AI? So Garima, there are ways. There are people do write AI in other languages from Java, C, C++. At CloudxLab, we use Python. Most Python is like really popular language for writing. Propose you learn Python. If you really have an experience with C, and Java, Python is actually very easy. Python is easiest among all the languages. So if you know C++ and Java, then you'll find Python really easy to get started. So I suppose, and that's going to really a career in machine learning and AI. I think. Okay. Now these questions have come a few times now. So this is a career matrix as we have prepared it. Okay, so it is so you could be somewhere. We have on the columns, we have, so as you can see on the columns here and here, we have different job roles: a software engineer in ML, a software engineer in big data, an applied ML engineer, a core ML engineer, or a data analyst. These are separate different functions that all require ML. And on the in the rows we have different skill sets like CS basics, probability and statistics, data modeling and evaluation, applying ML algos and libs, engineering and system design, big data. Okay, so this is how we have put it in a matrix for you easily to see. Now, so depending upon the job you want, there are different skill sets you want to develop. Okay, so suppose you want to be a software engineer in ML, you would need to know some CS basics. You would have to know how to apply some ML algorithms, some software engineering skills. You really don't need to be a master at probability. You don't need to be figuring out data modeling or try to figure out how to work with big data if you're a basic software engineer at ML. Now, on the other hand, if you're a big data software engineer, you need to have some big data skills. Like if you're really going to work with enormous amounts of data, your job would be to make it possible for systems to analyze these large amounts of data. So there are a lot of big data skills that you would need. Okay, but you would probably not have to need so much into get into probability and statistics again. Now, 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 assuming that you want to be an applied ML engineer. Now, if you want to have applied ML engineering skill sets, get slightly different. Again, you need really good CS basics, but you need to be able to evaluate models, different models. Now, in AI, as you see, probably won't be writing new models, but you'll have to evaluate multiple models, look at the data, and try to eventually figure out which model will be good, so that the application part of ML algos, and you would have to have certain software engineering skills also to do it. Now, if you are a core ML engineer, like really core ML engineer, you need to have really good static basics. You have to have a decent understanding of probability and statistics. You have to understand how to use different tools, how to evaluate the data, how to evaluate how different models look like, and decide on what to choose best. You also have to know about applying. So yeah, it's again, since you'll also have to know how to apply these ML algorithms and libraries at different positions. Okay. If you're a data analyst, the data analyst is also a very data analyst is also a very common job, in which, so data analyst is where if you will have to have a much better idea of probability and statistics, because data analysts look at the data at a much at a much say basic level, and they try to figure patterns at a lower level. So in that case, you really need to understand what statistics are, or the means, the medians, the skews, etc. You need to have a good idea of different ways to model data and evaluate them, and some idea of ML algorithms. Since you're not really going to be working with actually deploying this data as a data analyst, you won't really need software engineering and design and system design skills. Typically, data and as an analyst, you also wouldn't be churning huge amounts of data. That typically will be done by the software engineering, the big data guys. So they can provide to you. So those are different skill sets you would need. We enable anybody with these skill sets, which I will show you more in our portfolio of courses. Okay. Okay. Now we'll talk more about the data science jobs. So data science jobs have been increasing. There are well, one of the big reasons is that there's just a lot more data today in a digitized format, so people can use all that information and bring a lot of insights into that. So data scientists have been called the sexiest job of the 21st century. That's been, I think, a year ago. It's expected that by 2026 there will be 11.6 million new jobs. These are statistics. Now, what's happened is COVID's really digitizing everything. It's pushing people to digitize faster. I was talking to a friend of mine who runs Inkref. This is a company that digitizes warehouses for apparels. So he's saying the offline is just not working anymore. So a lot of companies are trying to figure out how to make all of its inventory visible online, And so these they provide tools for that, and they're seeing a lot of traction from a lot of previously companies that who wouldn't be interested in their software, in their products before. And this is happening across places. So COVID is going to push digitization, and we're seeing that everywhere. Now, we are in one of the worst recessions in history. Uh, and but what we've seen is that AI and ML jobs are more resilient. There are still enough openings for AI ML jobs. There are a lot of other places. There's huge layoffs, especially in the offline space. And what we are expecting to see, we're still expecting to see jobs to grow this year and accelerate further on. Okay, so this we continue to see. We believe that COVID is just going to make this faster. Okay, now the future of AI, and as I said before, AI is going to dominate. So there was a statistics study by Wall Street Journal, that's WSJ, that AI jobs will increase by 16% from 2020 in 2020. AI funding has been, so funding for AI startups have been increasing everywhere in the first quarter. So this data is a little dated. The first quarter, AI startups in the US raised $6.9 billion. Another place where AI has been growing dramatically is the automotive industry. We all know what kind of spectacular valuations the valuations companies like Tesla have been doing. Tesla is now the most valued automotive car company in the world, and largely it's because of its presence, its understanding and the knowledge and its leadership position it has with EVs and with automated driving, which is largely AI. The AI growth is global; it's not restricted to the United States. A lot of Chinese startups are doing very, very well, as we know. The UK is also the UK startups also raised enormous amounts of money in 2019. Okay, now these are a bunch of courses available in uh, in our portfolio. Okay, these are our courses available in our portfolio. As I said, this presentation will be made live to you. We've got courses on AI and deep learning. We got questions on data sciences. We've got machine learning specialization. We've got big data engineering. The courses on DevOps, and there are courses on Python. Now, if you are a starter, okay, if you're a starter, if you don't know about anything, you could start with some of the Python courses. That's how I'd say you'd start. Okay, I think this question has come before on questions from. I think there's been multiple questions on how do starters get started on top of it. So this kind of answers your question. You can just go ahead, look at the Python courses. Now there are frequently asked questions. I've seen a lot of these questions come on today's question board also. So some of the questions, as I said before, I'm a student and I want to become an ML engineer. What should I study? Where do I start? Well, you start with Python for machine learning. You'll take the courses of Python for machine learning, learn how to operate files, learn the basic functions, and then you learn up how to learn tools like of pandas and NumPy, and then you go on to do the machine learning specialization, and post that go towards deep learning. This is a course form. This is a format I would prescribe for starters, students who want to figure out, who want to build a career in ML engineering. If you're a student again and you want to be a data scientist, what should I study? Well, I'd say study with again Python, and Python for data sciences. We have a course that is where we've a derivative of a course which is specialized for data sciences. You take the data science specialization, which teaches you about several big data techniques also, and then you also learn up machine learning. Okay, you learn machine learning. So again, so your students, and yeah, you've got a slightly different path in case you want machine learning versus deep learning. Sorry. Again, I'm a student and I want to become a DevOps engineer. Now, so what's DevOps? DevOps is is basically deploying applications at scale. Is basically about deploying applications at scale, large amounts of scale. Uh, so that's one of the big ideas of so scale. So when if you create a particular algorithm and you want to say you will make a face detection algorithm and you want to expose that as an API to the world and assume you're let's assume this works really well. A lot of people want to use it, and then you want to figure out how you can support millions of these users who want to access your algorithm. Then you need DevOps skills. You need to figure out how to run your algorithms on a cloud-based system, typically AWS, Azure, Microsoft Azure, Google Cloud, etc. That's what you would do in DevOps. Now, if you want to be DevOps, it's particularly for data sciences and machine learning, I'll propose you do the Python for data sciences. You do Linux. We have actually have a Linux basics course. I think it's almost free. You figure out the Linux basics, and then you do the DevOps specialization. That's how you would do that. Okay. Now, I'm a student, and I want to become a big data engineer. Give me a second, guys. Okay. Yeah, I'm a student and I want to become a big data engineer. What should I study? We propose that you study Scala, you study big data and Hadoop. These are also courses that are available. I propose you study those courses. Okay. Now let's assume now you're not a student. You're a software engineer. You got a few years of experience. You know about engineering. What do you want to do? You can get started in machine learning straight away. This assumes that you know Python directly, and so you can get started with machine learning specialization. You can go for deep learning courses. You can go for the IITR courses because you have a background in software engineering, and you can use that to build upon and build upon and get to the level you want. That's to be an ML engineer. If you're a software engineer and you want to be a data scientist, again, get started with a data science specialization and go through machine learning if you want to be a data scientist. If you're a software engineer and you want a DevOps engineer, yes, we have a DevOps course for you. Take a course of the DevOps specialization. I think we are right now, we will be opening up a self-paced DevOps course very soon. So in case you're interested, I think it should be open in a few days. Just watch our website or just send us a query for it at reach us at cloudxlab.com and we'll get back to you when this course is alive. Okay, now if I'm a software engineer and big data engineer, what should I study? Study big data with Hadoop and Spark. Is again tools available on with us at CloudxLab. Okay, now if you're a non-technical guy, okay, you're a non-technical person, you want to learn about AI and ML. Okay, so now you say I don't want to go and invest in learning Python, etc. I don't know if it's for me, or you're very clear that you would not need to do you would not need to do that you really don't want to become a hands-on AI ML guy. We have a course. It's called AI for Managers or AI for Everyone. It explains AI at a helicopter view, so you understand what are the different terminologies and how AI flows work. What's machine learning? What's deep learning? How do you deploy those systems at a higher level, but no hands-on experience? We've got a course for you that does that, which I would strongly recommend if that's what you're looking for. Okay. The next question is, do I need to have a background in advanced mathematics to learn AI and ML? So this is a very common fallacy, and we've been trying to break that. Okay, we've been trying to break that for the longest of time. We were trying to break. So you really don't need to be an advanced mathematician to have a career to get started with AI and ML, or to actually do something something be productive in AI and ML. We actually have prepared as a part of the of our courses. We actually have a section where we tackle concepts like gradient descent and backpropagation, and just use simple bottomless like bottomless, not even like statistics. We start from bottomless, and we can derive and show the core workings for gradient descent and backpropagation, which are considered to be the fulcrum, the holy grail of deep learning. We have those systems. Okay. So any mathematics required to learn AI and ML will be taught as part of the course itself. Now, the course on artificial intelligence and deep learning by IIT Roorkee, we are running a course. We're currently running one course. It's active. The second batch is starting soon. We have only a few seats left. The starting date is the 19th of July. So the way it works is we run these courses in the evening India time. If in the United States it's early morning, it's early morning. It's designed for for people who already have a full time job or at college doing full time. It's not 45 hours. It's actually more than that. It's about 60 plus hours, as we found out. The course is $699 if you're abroad, and it's INR about 50K minus taxes. There's GST that gets applied on top of it. So I've got a bunch of questions from a bunch of people, and we will be answering them. So let me right. So Senthil Natarajan asks, what's the difference between applied ML and core ML engineering? I'll just go to the slide, which kind of right. So this is where we're discussing a difference between uh, applied ML engineer and core ML engineer. Okay, an applied ML engineer is an example of an applied ML engineer would be somebody who's using existing models to do something. So this would be say using an existing YOLO model to run to run computer vision, to run detection, to identify certain items on a video or an image. Whereas a core ML engineer would actually have to dig in a little deeper, and a core ML engineer might actually be working into the models and making minor modifications to models in a more thorough manner. So an applied ML engineer would be typically be just using the models at a high level without going too deep underneath it. Whereas a core ML engineer would have to go under and understand the why the model works, why it does certain things in a certain way, and why certain data and so the why this is better understand the interaction between data and the model. Okay. Uh, right. Then there was okay. What is CS basics? CS Surya Pratap Surya is computer science basics. Deepak asks, do I need to know the spoken language since we analyze data? Well, for implementing AI, you don't need, depends on what you mean here. So, for implementing AI, if you're not doing natural language processing, you don't really need to know well, you need, I'm not very clear if I'm assuming this is spoken language. Then spoken, typically what you need is when you're working with ML, all you're looking is sometimes is you're looking at is looking at so input data and output. So certain amount of data. So sometimes you really don't need to know the spoken language in case if you have a complete data set. So if you have a data set of say a language like Japanese, and you have a data set that gives you certain words or certain sentences and what it means in a different language, like say in English, then you really don't need to know Japanese, but you can work with NLP models to build a model that becomes a Japanese to English translator, for example. Okay. Then there are questions on. So Parvinder asked, so what investments and projects are available in India in ML and AI? So there are enough. There are a lot of AI and ML opportunities in India. I think your question was why it's probably not as big as the ones in some of the other countries, but there are a lot of opportunities in AI and ML in India. So all companies like starting from Amazon to Google, or say let's take an example Flipkart, they all need a recommendation system. So when you buy something, they're trying to show you what other things you would like to buy. So these are like practical applications where AI is being used. AI is getting used. There's a lot of interest in AI for people to use AI in figuring out traffic behavior. Some to figure out who's breaking rules, who's breaking rules, who's say driving without helmets, who's driving three seaters. All these things are getting very interesting for a lot of governments, and you would be seeing more and more of these applications being rolled in at your local government level very soon. Uh, yeah, yes, so as I Parvinder Singh had this discussion on why we're not discussing. So there are opportunities in India also, as I mentioned. Nikita Raj, is data science good to go for the automotive industry? And Nikita, there are a lot of applications for AI in the automotive industry. We've so in my so we've used AI to study the interactions between say speed and RPM and try to figure out how people are using their clutches. We used AI algorithms to figure out these relationships at one level. The one place where AI is changing everything is in automated driving, where they're just trying to take the driver out. Being again, and they're succeeding, really succeeding in a lot of the in a lot of places. In a lot of places, and they're succeeding in a lot of places. Uh, the other places where automotive industry is being used, where automotive is used, is in the electric EV space. So people are trying to figure out, using AI models to figure out how batteries operate, how batteries degrade, etc. So that's they're using the data from a driving vehicle, collect the data from what's the speed of the vehicle, how much charge is being taken in by the vehicle, what is the charging profiles, etc. They take this information and try to build models on it. So AI is being used extensively in that space also. Uh, Yeah, so Parvinder, as I mentioned, there are a lot of applications of AI and ML in India. There are from plain B2C companies that are trying to figure out how to sell things better, to traffic management companies that are trying to manage roads. There are medical companies trying to figure out how to use image analysis to figure out from your X-ray report in case you have different types of diseases. All those applications are running right now in India. So Dipesh Gupta asks, is there a plan to start NLP and OpenCV courses in CloudxLab? Dipesh, that's correct. We plan to start courses on both NLP and OpenCV. So I'm personally looking into to creating more content on OpenCV and computer vision. We will be expecting. So we will be sending out notifications very soon on this topic. As of right now, NLP and OpenCV are being covered. Not NLP and say computer vision are being covered in the deep learning course, uh, especially the fundamentals of it. Okay, we're really covering that. So Deepak asks, for implementation of AI, do we need to know? I think I've answered this question about the spoken language. Hansa Gupta, between applied and software engineer. The question is if you have a lot of data about the population, size of the rooms, etc., and you want to try to figure out what's the cost of property in a particular region. Okay, so a core ML engineer would be looking at the data, he'd be looking at different models, he'd be building a new model. He or she would be building a model that can use information like population, size of rooms, etc., to figure out what is the price, what's a good price for a particular house. And a soft on the other hand, engineer would be building a web application that would use this model. So you could just input a few pieces of information and it will say, okay, the possible price of this house should be so much. So it could be so much, it could be so many dollars or so many rupees, etc. So that would be a software. And applied ML engineer somewhere comes in the middle, where the person they have to know a little bit about probabilities and statistics and a little bit about the software engineering and system design. Okay. Mm. So tourist to Townie asks, I want a course which includes all fields like big with data sciences, big data, machine learning, artificial intelligence, deep learning, and natural language processing. Tourist Townie, this so all these courses are available with. Just give me a second. Yeah. So what you've asked for is almost the entire portfolio or a large part of the portfolio which CloudxLab provides. So we have courses in AI and deep learning, which also includes options in in computer vision, in NLP. There are data sciences courses, machine learning specializations. So you can here you have these courses. You can take up the data science specialization and machine learning and get the skill sets you're interested in. Okay. Is Nikita Raj, is data science required to start with ML and AL? The short answer would be no. You need to have some idea of data sciences, but the required amount of data sciences will be taught in ML and AI. You don't have to go through the entire data science course to start with AI and ML. Anusaya asks, can you suggest some trusted certificate programs for AI and ML? I'm going to tell you to use the CloudxLab certification, which comes along with IIT Roorkee. A few of the questions. I'll just be going back in time. One of the questions I was looking at the time was whether had asked, "Are we going to postpone our live classes for the batch certificate?" No, we will not be postponing it. It will be done as I've currently shown. So we will be having an open session next week, and then we'd be starting with a closed sessions, which is exclusive for only the paid students, starting the week after that. Anusaya asked what softwares are needed to for a preliminary for ML. The short answer for that is Python. I think Ashwath has already answered that question. Uh, there's a bunch of questions on this. Okay, this question on what kind of course the books for Python, ML, and DL. So we are using a book on O'Reilly for Python and for DL. Just give me a second. I think it's gonna come now. Lean, yeah, with some books for Lean, O'Reilly. Give me O'Reilly books on machine learning. Just give me a second. Yeah, so we are using this book. So I'm going to send this as I'm going to post this. I'm going to actually post this in. We will set this out in the comments so you can take a look at this the book, and you can even purchase it. Uh, okay, so Deepesh Gupta, he's asked, I'm a biologist, life science degree with knowledge of ML. Applying for a job. Divesh, you just can so some I mean, it's very particular question about a particular job. Some of the questions, sometimes some people might look for certain CS backgrounds in ML. So maybe if you can build up your knowledge on a couple of CS backgrounds, it can help you get a job faster, especially in India. Okay. Right. So this is there are a bunch of questions. I think I've answered most of them. So we have bunch most of them. So this is good. Uh, I presume you can hear me properly, and also go through this. So what kind of intern projects? So Anusuya, one of the best place for people to apply AI or ML skills is Kaggle. So Kaggle is this open source platform for data sciences and ML, AI, etc. You have a lot of data sets, a lot of problems, and in principle, you have. I mean, there's no pressure on you to perform, so you can play at those problems at your own time. So I suggest that if you're looking for projects to get started with, start take a look at Kaggle. Deepak BS asks the language R's usage is similar to that of Python. Yes, it is true. R is also used quite extensively in machine learning. We are, however, we seeing more and more usage in Python. So that's the one of the reasons we have chosen Python and we train in Python. But yes, there are a lot of places that use for machine learning. Okay. Okay, guys. Then I guess thanks for your time. We will put the course. We will be making this the presentations and the videos available in a short time. Thank you for your time. This was. I hope you had a good time. I had a great time. I enjoyed talking to you guys. I hope to see you sometime in the future. We would be doing similar outreach programs on different topics. There shortly will be a discussion on an open session on quantum computing. There would be some sessions on human perception. I plan to do some courses, some sessions on computer vision shortly. So hopefully we will see each other again. Would love to have you in any of our courses at CloudxLab. Thank you. Thanks for your time.